Okay, now multiplying and dividing integers. Okay, so as not to confuse the multiplication sign that looks like this with the variable that looks like this, we generally represent multiplication by the dot now, and we've already used that. We use that in our prime factorizations, right? Or by parentheses. So two parentheses right next to each other means multiplication, or a number right next to a parenthesis means multiplication. These two numbers are our factors, right? And the answer to multiplication is called a product, like the answer to adding is called a sum. Now, the thing to be careful of is this confuses people. Right? The difference of how do I know if I'm subtracting or adding or multiplying or whatever. If there is a sign next to a parenthesis, it is not multiplication. It's only when there's a number next to a parenthesis. So this is why we get rid of those stupid double signs, right? This is really same sign means a plus. This is 5 plus 3. But this one is 5 times negative 3. So be careful about that distinction. That gets people a lot. Okay, now the rules for multiplying and dividing are basically the same as our simplified rules for adding and subtracting. If you've got two numbers being multiplied or divided and the signs are the same, your answer is going to be a plus, right? The sign of your number. If the signs are different, the answer will be a minus sign, a negative, like this one. Because the signs are different, that's a plus 5 and a negative 3. You multiply those two numbers, and then because the signs are different, it's a minus. We also have the commutative and associative properties for multiplication, not division. We'll talk about that in a minute when we're talking about division, but for multiplication and addition. Right? So the commutative property tells us that the order you multiply them doesn't matter. 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. They're both 6. Or the grouping doesn't matter, right? If you've got more than two things being multiplied, you can multiply the 2 times 3 first, or the 3 times 5 first, or the 2 times 5 first, right? As long as it's all multiplication. Commutative and associative properties. Okay, now with multiplication, we also have a multiplication property of 0, which tells us anytime you multiply anything by 0, it's 0. 0 times anything, anything times 0 equals 0. Okay, so let's try these problems. Okay, so the signs of the number are different. I know it's going to be a minus. If the signs are different, it's minus. If the signs are the same, it's plus. So 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, let's do 2 at a time, any 2 at a time. The signs are the same, so it's a plus. 6 times 3 is 18. But I still have another multiplication. Now the signs are different, so your answer is minus. 18 times 2 is 36. A kind of shorthand we get with multiplying and dividing. Notice I can do this like this. I can just do 2 at a time, 2 at a time. Or I could just count the total number of signs. And I know, hey, if I've got 3 total signs, because that's an odd number, like 1 is an odd number. If the signs are different, that means you have an odd number of negatives. You only have 1. If I have 3 negatives, my final answer is going to be negative. If I had 4 negatives, my final answer is going to be positive. Okay. Oh, anything times 0 is 0. Okay, the rules for dividing are the same as multiplying. You just count the number of signs, right? But there's no commutative nor associative properties. You can't change the order when you're dividing. You got to do it in order as it comes, and you cannot divide by 0. This is going to be a recurring rule from now on. It's going to come up over and over in every math class you ever take. Okay, So to help you remember that, think about what that would look like. If the 0 is on top with a number on the bottom, you can think, on, right on, that's okay. That equals 0. If the number is on top and a 0 on the bottom, no. It says no. Number on top, 0 on bottom, no, no, no. And we're going to say undefined. Okay. So, signs are different. Answer's a minus. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Signs are the same. Answer's a plus. 54 divided by 9 is 6. Uh-oh, this is a number on top of a 0. That says no. So that's undefined. Okay, can't move them around, so there's nothing I can do but go in order. Signs are the same. That means plus. 60 divided by 10 is 6. Signs are different. That means minus. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So when I'm adding and subtracting, I can just take care of that sign right away and then ignore it, right? Just do your adding, or not adding or subtracting. When I'm multiplying or dividing, that's what we're doing right now, multiplying and dividing. You take care of that sign and you just work with the numeral part of the number, and I don't have to worry about the sign. Okay, let me know if you need anything.